Yes, people. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing all right. We're here. A very special place in my heart. A place I grew up in. A district called Miles Platting, situated in North Manchester. Love this place. Oldham Road's just there. I think these series of flats are known as the Seven Sisters. They look a lot different now to when I was going round these streets. Grew up here in 1970. Moved out probably mid to late 90s. My God, it's changed a lot since then. Yes! How we doing? Yes, Cater. Good afternoon. Just here on a... Whoa. I was given information very last minute about an anti-lockdown protest type of thing. Yes! Thanks for jumping on, everyone. And I was given the coordinates to a location in Ancoats, and I'm like, okay then. And I was given the location by a lovely guy there who's just in the picture. TKE Media, Antner, top bloke. As you can see, Victoria Mill is in the shot there. I literally grew up across the road from that place. This place is so much different now. The Rochdale Canal is there. So, you're wondering what we're doing here. Right, there's a guy over there called Rio, which I'm gonna be having a chat with him at some point. And he's got an interesting idea. This is not so much a protest. This is more of like a campaigning, and on a grassroots level, with the hope that on a weekly basis, it's going to grow and grow. Yes. Yes, Damon. How you doing, mate? Thank you. So, yeah, I'm going to have a chat. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Amanda, how we doing? It's a nice day here. Lovely, the sun's out. But I tell you what, I'm freezing. Freezing, and I think everyone here who's turned up deserves a medal because it is so cold. My tatties are cold, my fingers are cold. Oh, so big up to anyone who's out on the street now doing any form of protesting, because my God. So this is the guy. He's basically trying to take the argument to the streets, to localized streets, as much as protesting. Yes, protesting always useful in certain areas. So this guy is literally looking at it as any political party would do, I guess, in a sense that in order for them to canvass, they don't generally have it as a rule where they stand in the middle of a town centre doing it. They literally go to door, local areas, and generally gain support. And that's basically what this is about today. And that guy's got a big engine. So we're in, like I say, we're in Miles Platting. Literally, gasworks just over there, just round the corner. I think he's addressing a guy in a car there. So I guess it's just trying to make the argument, instead of probably being intimidating on the street, just shouting things on the street and shouting in town centres and whatnot. He's trying to literally engage. and see if it can get any kind of momentum going forward. Yes, mate. How we doing? We all right?
Yeah, good, man, good.
Are you warm or what?
Freezing.
He's freezing, isn't it? Oh my gosh. How we doing, sir? Mate, Rio, can I just have a little chat for 2 minutes, mate? I've just come on live now.
Sure.
And you've just given a good little speech there, but if you could just break it down for the people live now, because I've got that on hard recording. Just what you were saying and what basically today is all about.
Yeah. Okay, well today's about doing it locally,
Yeah.
because I call it do it locally because we generally protest in city centres. Now, I question who we're getting to. Are we preaching to the converted? Are we getting to a new demographic who are not aware of the information? I'm not too sure. And you know, whilst the majority of people that we will call unawakened, we have to look at it when we're marching in town. How many of those are in town at that specific moment? How many of them are listening to the information at that specific moment? And how many of them, you know, who are aware or unaware, do we bring back, get on board and bring them into the conversation? You know, we don't know. There's no way of kind of judging that unless it's like, oh yeah, I see you at the protest. But with this, we're actually going into the areas and making it be known that there's an alternative view to what's being said in the mainstream media, and it kind of gives you a gauge of what the people like. For instance, the woman that I just spoke to there, she worked for the authorities, she didn't want to be filmed, but I just asked her where does she feel about the lockdowns, and without going into it, she said, well, London are in tier 2 and Manchester are in tier 3. That sounds a little bit fishy to me. So again, would we have got that type of gauge of where people are at if we was in town centres walking and not being able to speak to people?
It's somewhat intimidating, that type of environment, isn't it? To the average individual who's not aware and clue. I get what you mean.
Yeah,
in some ways it's a useful tool because it can engage the thought, but at the same time, the amount of people that walk past. Yeah, cool. So Rio, why Miles Platting? Why around here?
Because one, to start off in town, the idea, I said Piccadilly Gardens.
Yeah.
And what's closest to Piccadilly Gardens, the closest inner city area, was this. So eventually we're going to do it all over. Eventually we're going to do it all over Manchester. You know? Here was just convenient because it's that town and it's the nearest, you know, it's the nearest thing to basically where we normally do it. So there was no particular reason why Miles Platting. You know, we're just going to be doing it all in the city areas because this is where the people are at. You know, and if we can imagine the 2,000, 3,000 people that have been in town, if you see them going through the area, it's a different type of what's going on there. Then in town, it's like no one really knows about it unless you see someone's life feed, someone speaks about it. You will know about it if you see 2,000 people in your area traipsing through. You might want to come out, you might want to ask people what it's about. It sparks conversation. Whereas again, in towns, a question: Are we starting a conversation? Are we able to build a type of rapport? And then at people's homes, you're able to come on a level. You're not walking past saying trying to get it out quickly like it's an elevator pitch.
Would it be fair to say, Rio, it's more, instead of protesting, it's more like political campaigning than what you're doing?
Political campaigning. You know, we spoke about this yesterday. I'd like to call it campaigning because, you know, it's got a longevity and an intensity to it that protesting doesn't really have. You know, the connotations of it. So campaigning's right. I prefer to say campaigning because look, when they want to campaign, Labour, Conservative, whoever, they campaign. They don't protest, they campaign. And that's how they get their numbers, to see what we really feel like and to be able to have that rapport and that conversation with us on where we're at, what our views are. You know, have you read the manifesto? Who you're voting for, what you're voting for. So we want to kind of, you know, emulate the same type of format.
And it's in their comfort zone as well.
And it's in their comfort zone. It's in
Cool.
their comfort zone.
Cool. All right, mate, you go for it. We're just going to follow anyway. Yes. So, you heard from the man. It's an idea. And why the hell not? Why the hell not? Daddy-o. Yes. Check out Newsmax TV. Rio, you're the man. Yes, Rio. Hey up. But got to adhere to the Green Cross code, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna follow this man round for a little bit while he just does a little bit of campaigning. Some of the other members that have joined up, some have left to go into town, and some have actually joined and they've gone about leafleting. So I don't know where they are, but this is just as good as anything else, isn't it? This, if it grows, imagine a body of 100 people meeting up and just flying in an area, your local area. You know, is this just as relevant as going to your local town centre? I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying this is another tact, another tactic, and it may be useful. You know, people in the houses, they might have 5 minutes, and you know, as we know, one thing I find, guys, right, is that most people I know, they don't go out and protest. They don't. And I'm not one for really trying to get them to do something that they don't want to do. It's up to them if they want to come, they don't want to come. But I tell you what, the way they feel is pretty much exactly the same way as me. So there's a bit of middle ground to be kind of had there, isn't there? You know what I mean? Where you could actually approach these people that are feeling exactly the same way as you, but the way they want to protest about it is probably totally different. So yeah, because as we know, the main fears that we've got, the main feelings about the lockdown and how it's happened, is most people can relate to, can't they? Numbers and everything. Yeah, you're right there, dude. You're right, but it has to start somewhere, doesn't it? I mean, there is more people. There's literally about another 5, 6, 7 more people that have gone off. They've took the flyers. So that maybe they've worked another part of the street. So I think he's hoping at doing this on a weekly basis and in different areas. So I don't think he's going to be coming here every week. The main reason why it intrigued me is because I'm like, yes, Miles Platting, you know, this is my stomping ground, Rochdale Canal. Look at this. Oh man, so many good memories around here. So anyway, let me have a look at some of the comments, guys. Missed it there. So yeah, to be honest, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting more of a, hey, let's all walk and, you know. But I have seen this guy in Manchester at a couple of the events, and he's certainly approaching it on a more strategic level. He probably feels that it's not working, it's not giving the nutrition, just doing the sole protest. So fair play to the man, going out and trying something, you know what I mean? I'm keen up that. So let's hope it gains traction.
Not everything they're doing is bad. They're processing a means of assimilating their data to us, let's say. Let's not call it manipulation or indoctrination.
I mean, look at that picture there. You've got Rio and Anthony filming on the topic matter, and then look across the road. You know what I mean? And so it'd be nice to have a chat with them, wouldn't it? But probably the way they're masked up would be what come anywhere near me. You know what I mean? But I guess I don't just want to jump up on them with a camera as well. So I guess in that sense, it's going to be a battle. You know, you look at the starkness of two people walking down the street, two young people who probably got very healthy bodies. And who knows, they may have actually got COVID and kind of got rid of it and no problem over the months, or if they was to get COVID because they are young and active and full of healthy frigging antibodies, they won't have any problem. But yet, because of everything that's kind of trickled into the psyche at the moment, they're walking round hand in hand with frigging masks on. So that's the sorry thing, innit? Oh, there's the others. There's the others. Look, they jumped ahead. So, guys, just let me tell you, that's the street I grew up on. That is the street, the top end of that street, Holland Street. Holland Street in Miles Platting. Man, there used to be a pub there called the Half Moon. There used to be a pub there called the Brown Cow. There's a pub halfway up that street called the Navigation. Oh my God. My best mate, who now lives in Newton Heath, used to live on this road here. Mark the Butler.
Local. So if we can bombard you with places and ideas,
Yep.
go from there.
Well, it makes sense. And you know, because what I don't like to do is start something, and because I don't know all the ways to do it proper, I don't like to not just get started. So it's good to get started, and then you meet people like you, Kayla, who are able to point you in the right direction, because there's no I in team, and you know, people have better ideas than you. So great idea, great idea. What we'll do then is, what we should do then with that is probably, there's a sort of a setup over there like pubs, and we'll aim in that direction and see what we've got. There's also City's Ground just over here. We'll head towards that direction, see who we pick up, and then what we can do is talk about those ideas. So what we do is
Maybe paranoid. Oh my God, no.
It's right though, isn't it? I mean, just because everything's on a grassroots level at the moment, it's going to take a lot of thrashing of different ideas in order to get to the right place. I don't think any one individual is going to have all the answers, and nor should anyone expect that one individual. It's going to take a lot of working out, isn't it? So what do you think of the overall idea, the scheme of it?
I really like the idea of being local.
Yeah.
Because I agree with him in the town, in the city. We're only preaching to people like us, because everybody else is going past and doing the shopping. So if we can get a little bit smaller, and even if somebody picks up a little bit on this data, which might make them go, I'm going to look at this a bit more.
Think.
Just make them think, yes. Because I mean, the number of people this week are excited about getting their vaccine. I just want to cry.
Yeah.
And it's
It's unbelievable.
how am I going to persuade you that what you're doing is mindless? Because you're not researching what's in it, what the side effects are, what the efficacy is, whether it actually works or not.
Yeah.
You're just fools. You're absolute fools.
You're just walking into something blindly, and no one should ever do that now. And grown adults, so we should be thinking.
Rio, you're going to kill me. I'm going that way.
You're going to go that way? Okay, no problem.
I'll be in touch.
Yep.
Mad one. Oh man, numbness is setting in, guys. Numbness. So I think some have headed to Manchester. So I might even have a little ride into the town centre at some point and see what's going on. But I like the idea of this. I like it. It's very small, grassroots. But who knows where it's going to go? I do like that. Oh, Jesus, nearly lost my bike. Come on, son.
This is how I perceive it. When we all come together with better ideas, we can all make the situation better. So go back to the common law group now. 7,000 people, between 15 admins, and it's a well-oiled machine. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start on the basis that there's not a million people that are not turning up. Nothing would ever get done. You know, this camera would have never been built if the person that said to themselves, okay, we're gonna you know, I want a device whereby I'm able to, you know, take pictures.
Get a mask on. Canvas. I've just passed my mate's old house. This is madness. See, some of these houses are pretty much exactly the same. Them flats are exactly the same. But then some of it's totally different. This is mad. Oh,
Well done, missus. Well done.
this is great. This.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get my iPhone X tomorrow. So
You can affect just one person outside of the echo chamber bubble, then it's worthwhile, isn't it? It is worthwhile. So I'd like to give a big shout out anyway to all the other YouTubers getting out and about today. Your Roxanne's, your Subject Actors, all the usual guys out about in different cities. I think there's something going on in Birmingham. I think there's something going on in London. Be safe. Good luck to you all. Hope you're doing everything right. And hope you're managing to keep yourself safely away from the gypsy grabbers. Wow. So at least this way, I guess, you know what? You're not going to get the police really following it and freaking grabbing it as well. You know what I mean? Look at it that way. This is nice, this. You know, I don't even know what numbers I was expecting. And maybe the people that were coming were expecting something different. But to be fair, look, they're going with it. And that's warming, that, innit? It's warming. Do you think this will make a difference?
Yeah. All goes one way, always.
Yeah, I agree. Fair play. My brother used to live in them flats. This is madness. Oh, that lady's just come. I don't know whether she's just took that flyer or what. Mad. Oh, what? This is crazy. Crazy set of times. And Coach Youth Club used to be here. Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
You know, what's going on there? Looks like a few savouries down there. Miles Platting's finest. What are these up to? I'm sure they're just going door to door selling cookies. That's what they're doing. I'm sure everything they're doing is above board and they're sweet. But they could be homeless, you know. Looking at it. Oh, Jesus. I tell you, that's the thing with Miles Platting. You alright, geezers? You alright?
I like you sick. I like you badass.
Nice one, mate. Thanks for that, bro. How you doing? Stay safe, yeah?
Yeah, not doing well, but...
Oh, fucking hell. See that then? See that then? If I had some money, I swear to God, I'm in my riding gear, so I ain't brought any money with me. Damn it, fucking look. See, so you can tell now. Streets of Miles Platting, socially degraded area. You're right round the corner from Manchester town centre, and you've got a heavy population of drug addiction and homelessness around here. Always has been. Even when I was growing up, the drug addiction was off the chart. And my fingers are numb and I can't even feel. I've got no dexterity and nothing, and I've got nothing in my bag anyway. I was going to give him some money, but I haven't got any on me. So it's sad. It's sad when you see that. To be fair, that goes on all over the place. Don't see too much. Apologies, I'm trying to sort myself out. I don't see too much of that where I live currently, although it is there. I'm not going to deny that, but it is stark when you come to your local town, local district. I mean, look, fucking hell. You know, like I say, my brother grew up there. My brother grew up in them flats once he'd moved away from where we were living in Miles Platting, half a mile up the street, and I'm talking to homeless here. So I'm sorry, I don't want to go there on anything, but, you know, this is what local areas are about, innit? You know what I mean? Not everyone's prosperous. How you doing? You alright? Not everyone's prosperous, and I don't even know where these have gone now. Going up here. But I've lost him. Sorry, that knocked me off a little bit. Just seeing them. This is fucked up, this. And I don't mean coming here today, I just mean what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Look at the world we're in. Look at the fucking world we're in. You alright, mate? You alright? You can't. You don't speak English? You don't speak English? Are you alright? What? You alright? What the? Oh, God. It's mad, this. Mad. I'm seeing people walk around with masks on. They don't even want to talk to you. Is this the 21st century? We're seeing people try to canvass, try to tell people the world doesn't have to be like this. The veil that is put in front of you. Come on, look, there's something more to it. You've just got homelessness off the fucking chart. Look, everywhere you look. And I just, honestly, I wonder what the hell is going on here. People, honestly, when I met Anthony before, I don't know where these guys have gone. When I met Anthony before, there was just, as Rio was chatting to us, just before they started the camera, there was a homeless guy that was very wary about just walking in front of the camera, and it was more out of politeness rather than him personally not wanting to be filmed. Wasn't that at all. And he then started to explain how he's homeless, how he's been homeless for the past 3 weeks. His father died, I think it was pneumonia, and he was living with his dad, and because he wasn't on the tenancy, or you know, the usual, didn't have the right frigging I's dotted, they literally evicted him. Didn't give him any alternative. He's got no support. So the guy's wandering the fucking street. You know what I mean? And he openly admits he's a shoplifter. Because he's got to get by. He said he don't want to go around cap in hand. Don't want to do that. But I guess he don't want to rob either. But you know what? In time's hard. So I'm sorry, I've come to Miles Platting. And it's just bringing back old memories of the area. Which is good, great. I'm seeing, because the area, the demographics has changed. There's a lot more what you would call middle class, with apartments that are situated just there. But then you scratch up a couple of streets, and this is the real Miles Platting. Man, and this is no different than any other town and city. Look, people just sat, and I don't blame them, because what other opportunity have they got? You know what I mean? So that guy, he actually wanted us to do something with him, the homeless chap, because he didn't know what the fuck to do. You alright, buddy? Man. This is almost making me feel sad. And this is on top of lockdown. So you've got a socially degraded area, but it's not really commercially getting lifted up, although it looks nice and glossy down there with all the apartments. But the people with the money in them apartments are not really filtering it back up to the people who live in these places. And I'm sorry I'm going off on one, and I don't even know where them guys have gone now. Oh. Right, let me try down here. Let's see what go on in. So it's sad to see. Sad to see a place I know and love. In many ways it's changed so much. In many ways nothing has changed. But you know what? Because some of these homeless, it don't change the character. You can see it in their eyes. The proper people, fucking humble as everything, as anything. Two of them there as a pastor. The first thing they said to all of them, "Have a nice day, guys. Have a nice day." Seriously, them guys ain't got a pot to piss in. They ain't got a home. They ain't even got a meal. Probably clean clothes, but they're still humble enough to talk to you and tell you have a nice day. You know what I'm saying? And that really makes you think, you know what? Who am I? I moan about all kinds of shit. But seriously, it's a humbling moment. I don't know where they've gone. Oh, here we are. Good place to leave a mattress, isn't it? Oh no, it's just totally walked past. How we going?
All right, not too bad.
Did he just totally block you then?
Black turn, that was me, probably. Yeah, totally.
He didn't listen to me.
He didn't listen. That's very naughty, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
pass them out.
Right, so I've caught back up with him.
I'll catch you guys later. I'll be with you today. Yeah, man, I'll be there tomorrow, mate.
How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Thought you fucking disappeared.
Mate, I got caught up with the couple of homeless there, and I went on a little bit of a tangent, and I was trying to look to see if I had any money to sort them out. I couldn't find any money. I've got no dexterity because my fingers feel like fish fingers at the moment. Honestly. So I'm like running round, and I totally lost you. So what, have I missed anything?
That girl was having a conversation with a guy in a car up there who don't agree. That didn't agree with her.
Right.
I don't know how to say it on bias.
Right. Did he take a point on board though, or was he just flat?
Yeah, he was taking all the flyers, took the
Right.
leaflet to go and join the group and stuff.
Right.
So, let do his own search.
It's a pill, innit? I mean, the thing with finding out totally different information that's going to change your perception, it ain't going to click overnight. That might click a month from now, a week from now, an hour from now. They may watch a program, they may watch a news report, and then all of a sudden, something will click in their head that conversation they had, that they totally disagreed with a woman, that might seem more relevant now. And it's happened to me like that, totally, so many times, you know what I mean? It could be just one more negative story that then makes you want to look at it a bit more, and then you recoil back, don't you, to certain things that were said. So,
Come on.
yeah, right. So everyone's got one of them dogs now, haven't they?
Oh, pugs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, is it a pug or is it a French
Oh, it might
finger?
be one of them things.
Yeah, man.
We've lost them again.
I know what's going on here. So we're just having a wander, guys. If you just tuned in, this is a little bit different. We're walking around Miles Platting. It's not a demonstration, it's more of a canvassing. And just going around flyers, engaging with people. And I'm kind of a bit nostalgic here because this is my old stomping ground. It looks totally different. All this was never here when I was here. Some of these houses are still the same. Some of them are totally different. So it's a bit of a mindfuck. Right here at the bottom there used to be Ancoats Hospital if people are frequenting to the area. So it's the same again. Look at the apartments. Look at it. But then within 200 yards in there, I've just seen a group of homeless. So it's a socially degraded area, but you wouldn't think it if you're skating on the outside of it towards town. It's very strange. And to be fair, when this was being redeveloped, probably about 30 years ago when we were talking about it, people knew that this was going to happen. People knew that the social degradation is not going to get any better because of this. It's just going to make them more us and them, you know? And one thing I will say, people around here in Miles Platting when I was growing up, they were proud as anything. As you can see, look, loved the houses, you know what I mean? Had a pride in the area and outside and loved each other, you know? So, yeah, just kind of going off on one, aren't I? Gonna get arrested. I think they should.
But you're not allowed to go that far.
You're not. It's very wrong. You know, see, even if a little girl can see the woes in life, then what can an adult say? You know what I'm saying? So people are just knocking on and seeing what response they get. They're not getting anything, I guess, just leaving a flyer about. It's proactive. Will it do anything? We'll see.
I was going to invest it on there, is it?
Oof.
At the bottom. Nah, mate, scrap it.
Yeah, mate, I know, it's not worth it, is it? Where there's blame, there's a claim.
Yeah.
And I've got you on stream doing it as well. It's the last thing you need. So yeah, we're here with a guy called Rio. And just trying something different. Bit of campaigning. And why the hell not? Why the hell not? He's in his van with his mask on. You alright, brother? See, it's 21st century. I just could not imagine that I'd live in this world. And the polarities and the different sets of opinions and how people view the world and how people think what they need to do in order to make the world better in terms of the vaccination, in terms of the psychological freaking warfare that we're going on with, and in terms of the way it's working, and in terms of people, even if they've got a £1 million house, a freaking £250,000 house, a nice driveway, 3 cars, they could still be low in energy and they could still not even have a Scooby-Doo of what go on in. And that's where we're at. And that'll work through all different levels. I mean, I was watching a cooking program with the wife last night, right? Because she's banging and that stuff. Oh, and it was a political. They used it to politicise the fucking hell out of the NHS. And they had a member of the NHS on, and I'm like, all right, so save the NHS, don't overcrowd it, right? I agree. You want to cook her a meal to make her feel great and, you know, propagate and how good the NHS. Never mind the homeless, never mind that. You know what I mean? No, let's get her. Why are they actually bringing her into an environment that's making it dangerous for a member of the NHS that then has to go back and do her job and probably cross-contaminate? Sorry, I'm just waffling, mate.
No, they went round when didn't need to. It was filming it.
So, yeah, it's just the Twilight Zone, innit, mate?
Yeah. It's the first week, innit? So.
It is. I mean, when you've got something that's getting all ages activated and thinking, mate, that's when you've got to look at what's going on here. You know what? I might have a ride into town in a bit.
You gonna go see if there's anything in Piccadilly or?
Just seeing if anything's. Yeah, I might do that.
Yep,
Diego.
I'm gonna head back up that way anyway. Are you just going to Piccadilly?
I might just head up and just see
I'm
if
gonna follow
there's
you.
any crowds.
Well, we're gonna head up that way anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we're gonna finish.
Okay,
finish
doke.
down there, yeah. Finish off
And look, guys, my stallion, look, it's full of mud. Look at it, totally been abused. That's what happens when you ride on the canal. I've got mud all over me as well. But you know what? Nothing better than getting out in the morning on your bike. Mask on while you're riding. Mask. You know what? It's very strange. Because I'll ride down the road, right, and I've got a camera. I've got 2 cameras on a pistol grip, and he's looking at me like, what's going on? I'm looking at him going, you've got a mask on. Which one's the weirder one? I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean it in a reality way. It's almost like, well, I'm legitimate for walking around with a mask on my own when I know I'm not going to get anything because I'm on my own, and in some cases I'm in my own car. So there's actually no need for me to wear a mask, but I'm going to wear it, so that legitimizes it. So then I'm going to look at you because you're on a bike with 2 cameras and you're the strange one. And that's the first thing that goes through my head. I'm like, this is the world. This is the world. If I could only articulate to them, you've got a mask on, dude. You've got a mask on. Sorry, I love waffling.
Well, I appreciate you following us around because you say the revolution's not going to be televised, but you know we don't understand the power that we have with these cameras.
Yes.
We really don't.
Yes. The revolution is starting. It's the awakening on an intellectual level first, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still flabbergasted the world that we've been thrust into over the past 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, that's changed people's perceptions so starkly.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, so how people act. And even, like I said, that just up there, I was ranting a little bit. I get looks because I'm riding down the street with this and I've got 2 cameras. But yet the person that's giving me the strange look, he's riding on his bike with a mask on. So in the open, when he's got no reason to medically wear that because there's nothing that he's going to catch or he's going to give off while he's on his bike on his own. But yet, I'm the weird one. I can't help but think. Not that I'm mad with them, not that they're silly or anything like that, but we have that in society where we've got the 2 polar opposites. That is a crazy concept to me, Rio.
100%. And what, with regards to the mass and stuff, sorry, I'm on the phone, you know.
Go for it.
With regards to where people's heads are at, what do you think with, so for instance, like the masks, does that give the indication that people are not awake to it, or is there a compliance element to that? Can you tell if someone's got a mask that they're not awake and they fear the virus, or is there an element of, well, yeah, the virus might be BS, but, you know, if I don't wear the mask, I might get fined, or, you know, I might not be able to work, or do you think there's an element of that, and, you know, can you gauge it, and, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
I think there's multiple elements going on with people. People are generally compliant anyway, aren't they? Most people are law-abiding.
Yeah.
It's say, for me, it shouts more on the propaganda, the severity of the fear propaganda that's been doing, and the effects of it when you can get law-abiding, complicit individuals that will do irrational things, thinking that it's going to be all right. And in some ways, yeah, I will understand that there will be a lot of people who are awake, who will have to wear a mask because of their job, who will have to wear a mask to get on a bus, but they know they hate it, but they probably haven't got the strength to go, I can't do it, or I can't not do it. So there's multiple things going on here, Rio, and it is hard. Like you said before, the one thing that you don't really want to do is get in the trap of castigating everyone. Even I do that. I'll look at the ridiculousness of the average individual in his own car. Just gone on you. So yeah, you know, it's same again. It's different intellectual levels. You don't really know what people are on. But fear, I think, has been a major generator in it.
100%.
Bloody hell.
Right, I'm going to go down to Berry here after see if the phone shop's open. Hopefully have the good one by tomorrow again.
Oh, mate. How much does that cost you then? Because I know phone repairs, is it a screen?
Oh, I'll go back in near me, so I need 70 quid.
70 quid, right. I had to spend 200 quid on my screen last time. Nearly killed me.
Oh, you got the actual iPhone one then?
No, I only do Androids, but the screen itself, I had to send it off and it come back within a week. And it was like 2 ton. Like, nice one. Right, so
Is it one of the new
this is an S9. These are quite old, these really, but I love them. You know, it's still nice. Right, so you can see it's a nice day here, guys. We're here now. Lovely shot.
Okay, are you?
We're on the canal.
Where we were before, so that grassy bit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, that's over there and to the right a little bit, isn't it? So we've got Great Ancoats Street down there. This is like the old warehouse section of Ancoats stroke Mills Platting. All been regenerated over the years. Oh, look. Wow.
It's funny, isn't it?
Wow.
Make sure that you're in the groove as well.
So I don't know if you've seen what happened there, but this young lady just went to give that man a flyer, and to be fair, he didn't have a hand free because but he's got a mask on, and he just said no and whatever. But he might not, you know. So it is a hard battle, isn't it? Not everyone's gonna have it. You alright, buddy?
There's another way of doing it different. Don't worry, you can see more robbers.
Yeah.
You see more robbers. Okay then, guys. Give me 5.
Yeah, alright.
Too slow, man. Too slow.
Yeah,
Well,
see you tomorrow.
guys,
Gonna be in Manchester tomorrow, yeah? Right.
Hopefully with
see you later, Mrs.
Yes.
Good to see
And
you.
without the little one.
Oh, I think we need her, you know. We need her in front of Boris. Tell you.
Oh, I've already got a video of her saying she wants to kill him, so I think that's a good idea.
She's got the right model set. I like her already.
Bit of psycho.
Oh, thank you.
Both Johnson a bit
Seriously,
naughty.
appreciate it.
He is naughty, isn't he? And what do you do with naughty people like Boris?
Put him in jail.
You know what? I think you need to be the next Prime Minister. Yeah? I'm going to vote for you. Do you mind? Brilliant.
Got a long way to go, yeah.
Oh, well, she's on the right track saying
It's only
things like
3,
that.
but yeah.
Oh, do you hear that? We've got a future Prime Minister there. She's on it. It's only 3. Only 3. She's on it. She already knows that Boris is a wrong'un. You know what I mean? 3 years of age. She's awake already. Right, so I guess just gonna make my way in. I tell you what, riding a bike and bloody streaming and not getting run out. Warming up a bit now, isn't it?
Over the posts, people don't really read extensive posts. I know I like to rabbit on. I like to rabbit on, so yeah, people don't really read them.
So Rio, can I ask you, how long have you been doing this?
How long have I been doing
Well, just activism.
activism?
Yeah.
Really and truly,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say all my life.
Yeah, go on, mate.
I'm a kid in school. Sorry. Yeah, I say all my life. I'm gonna say because I've always been that kid in school who is questioning the teachers, questioning why we're doing certain things,
Yeah.
trying to rally people together to say, no, we're not going down the corridor, like mischievously, but it's more against authority. So that's one aspect of it. Then we're talking about what we're doing now. David Icke, first book that I read when I was 18, and then after that, it was like the world is upside down. You know, what they've told us is not correct. So from there, I've been active in the community from there. Started a football team, because my background's football. And through football, because most of the rules of life I've learned through football, and I wanted to impart them same rules, discipline, teamwork, authority, skills, you know, getting into a program and just getting the kids off the streets. So that's where it started from. And then that was when I was 20, 21, 22. So since then, on and off, you know, I've been, well, I say on and off, for 10 years I was doing that. I worked in a school, stopped doing that, and then I picked it back up a couple of years back. Actually went to prison, you know, went to prison for actually doing it the wrong way round, telling kids to stay off the street and not do drugs. And then I went into selling drugs, bit backwards, innit, bit like the world.
Wow.
So yeah, I went to prison for that, came back renewed, and you know, realized that my efforts are best placed by doing community work and,
Yeah, you're
and,
too smart for that.
and speaking to the people. So that's it. Galvanizing the people, the people's spirits. You just mentioned it before about, you know, how people are almost interacting with all these concepts. It's like, which one are they? You wear a mask, but you're awake. You wear a mask, but you're asleep. You don't wear a mask, but you're asleep.
Yeah.
You don't wear it. Like, there's a load of things going on.
Yeah.
And what that says to me is that the spirit of people needs uplifting, you know, and we're able to see with the upliftment of people's spirit, we can kind of get a more of a gauge of, all right guys, let's tempt you in that, just a little bit more information about the PCR tests and the lockdowns and things like that.
cheers.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, do you find it probably... Sorry, mate. What we need to do is really, as a population, we need to get back to what is classed as a shared truth. We haven't got a shared truth anymore, have we now? Because everyone's got their own version of a truth.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's how can you come together if there's so many elements of what we perceive as the truth? So a guy wearing a mask,
Yeah.
for all the reasons he's wearing a mask, that's his version of the truth.
Yeah.
The guy that wants to go on a protest telling you to not wear that mask, he's got his version of the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all human beings, and the very thing that's affecting both people is affecting both people,
Yeah.
regardless of
Regardless,
their
yeah.
interpretation of that truth.
Yeah.
So it's like, how the hell do we get back to that shared truth where we can all go, you know what,
Sorry.
that's where I'm at, because I can see the differences.
That's you're right there, and that's probably the $1 million question, isn't it? That I found that out, that it's not. For instance, we've got a group, to touch on your point, we've got a group that we get together. We've been getting together for the last 2 months, almost every night, trying to come up with what I would call a blueprint for success.
Right.
You know, i.e., what can be the common rules, regulations, and common purpose, not that common purpose, common purpose, as though to speak, and what we can all follow. You know, some are here for 5G, some are here for, you know, save our children, some are here for media manipulation, some are here for whatever you're here for. But how do we tie them all together? That's, as you said, that's like the $1 million question. Once we do that and we accept that this is it, why we're actually in this situation, then we move forward. I think how that's done without being disrespectful to, you know, even those who are awake, we're almost all followers in a sense. You know, I'm a follower, I consider myself a leader, but if someone's got a better plan or a better scenario for me to follow, hell yeah, I'm the best follower then. You know, I'll follow that plan to the letter. So it's no.
It shows how lost we are, though, doesn't it?
It does.
That we try to work it out.
It does.
And we're all prepared to give people a try and, you know,
Yep.
go with this leader, go with that leader,
Yep.
for the most positive intentions.
Yep.
But ultimately, this is an individual thing, isn't it?
Yep.
This ain't a one leader's got the whole kind of let's just follow. We've
Yep.
all got to rise up as an individual.
Yep. Yep.
And then make that collective that is the leader
Yep.
itself, in a sense.
100%.
But it's like you say, it's how do you get there? It's the little fights, little ideas to try and work all that out, I guess. And then you've got a population of people that are just don't even want to see it
Yeah.
as well.
Well, that's a good point. And the question to that is, what is your, you know, people say, what's the aim? What's the goal? Where are we going with this? What, you know, how are we trying to get some type of remedy? What are your aims and objectives? For me personally, primarily, whilst we're all here collectively, because it's a collective enemy, as such as, so to speak, or collective opposition. For me, like you said, it's for yourself initially. You know, it goes back to being for yourself. Why is this? Because I feel oppressed. I feel like these guys are, you know, kind of against my own, you know, willing to express my own free will. We can all feel that. So it's primarily a selfish. It's a selfish thing first. Like, you know, I want it. Then you'll go to, if you've got kids, I've got kids. Then you'll go to my mom, my dad, and then you work out to the community. You know, the community being those who feel the same as us. So in terms of, you know, how do we go about it and what's our remedy? Let's say everyone turns around the world in a year's time and says, well, I hear you, Rio. I hear you guys. Thank you for the information that you're giving, but I just want to take I want to take the test. I don't want to take the vaccines, and thank you. Like, what do you do then? My thing is, then I want to be able to live in a world with everybody else with my free will. I don't want to then have to do what they're doing just because they want to do it, because I don't want to do it. So, you know, whilst it is...
So what you're saying is now, I guess, the libertarians coming out in people that are awakening. In a sense, it's freedom of choice.
Freedom of choice, that's it. Freedom of choice, that's it. I think Michaela, or somebody said that before. I'm pro-choice,
Yes.
you know, and that was another spin on but she says she's not anti-vax.
Yes.
She says she's down for vaccine,
Yeah.
which again is good because there's almost a no, not for the vaccines. But if for instance, if us three here were saying no, you can't have the vaccine, then that lady that was willing to come out and fight with us, we would have already outlawed her because she's not for the vaccines.
Yeah.
So we had to find some common ground. She said pro-choice. That's what.
It's the
that's it.
safest place to be at.
Safest place.
Because what you feel with what's going on with the different 7 out of 10 will have the vaccine, try to give the idea that there's a 3 out of 10 that are just going to be, problematic.
Yeah.
It's almost like the two wolves are voting to have the sheep for dinner.
Exactly.
And we don't want a scenario like that. When you as an individual, I've got the choice whether I want it or not. I'm not doing it for negligent reasons. I could probably articulate myself very well, as opposed to someone who's readily, happily going to have the vaccine. They can't articulate anything other than just wanting to do the right thing, if that makes any sense. So, but yeah, pro-choice. I mean, I wouldn't want to deny anyone, and I don't want to force anyone not to have the vaccine. If they feel that that's their course in life, if they're vulnerable enough, then go for it. I mean, but the bottom line is I would still have concerns on how it come about, this vaccine, the length of time in which that it's been brought out, and the fact that there's no accountability. There's too many things stack up that make me as an individual go, I'm pro-choice and I'd rather just not have that, if that's all right. Any other alternatives going? But yeah, it's a long battle, isn't it?
It is a long battle, and that's almost, again, in the meetings that we have, what we're trying to figure out, what people's entry points are, because, you just touched on a few points there, maybe 5 different points. What if one of those points is, for instance, pro-choice? It's like, okay, well, I believe in the vaccine, I believe that you've anti-vaxxers, so to speak. I don't believe that, because that would have went against my point. But let's say you guys should fall in line, But I do believe where the vaccine's concerned, for instance, you should be allowed a choice. What if that is, all the other things they want you to conform with, but pro-choice is like, you can get people to see, look, I hear what you're saying, but what is the world now if just because you feel that this might hurt you, that now I lose my freedom of choice? Switch that round a minute on something that you don't particularly like or agree with. How would you feel if my sensibilities are being, worked with, and the government are saying yeah, but then because you think opposite, you have to fall in line with what I think. How are you going to feel? You're not going to feel, so you have to almost get them to see that mechanism and that concept.
Yeah.
It's not easy, obviously.
Yeah. Because they're triggered by the fear.
Exactly.
To the point where people who feel like that are the enemy.
Guys, can I just give you that?
Yes. So we're here in Piccadilly. We're here. And look around, right? People are sat, chilling, living, in waterfalls going, ain't life great? A couple of weeks ago we were doing this. Remember the police come marching in? Yeah? Giving out fines like they were fucking Christmas crackers. But look at it. I don't see the police moving in for this. Do you? Because to me, this is just as what's the word I'm looking for? Just as built up, as congested as the rally I come to the other day, when it was deemed the worst thing in the world. And in fact, I've seen footage of Anthony getting a dispersal notice over there.
They've noticed my sign, and they've assumed this is a gentleman with a few, and they've noticed my sign, and they've assumed because it was told. So they've all met somewhere else. This is true.
We've been to Miles Platten.
Right.
So has people been hanging about?
They've met there. And then, because people got a bit late there, they've come on trying to find where they were. And I just said, get back to Piccadilly. Just get back to Piccadilly. So people are drifting back in dribs and drabs. But tomorrow is a big one.
Tomorrow's a big day, is
Tomorrow's
it?
a big day, right?
Right.
So tomorrow we have, but we don't know where it's starting for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we'll be hovering around the big
Round
streets
here.
Yeah, that's
around
what it says
here.
on-
So come out for a burger or whatever. Come out, have a burger.
Stand
have a bit
up.
of shopping. Go into Primark, do a bit of shopping, and sooner or later you're going to see a crowd of people. That
Can I
you
ask your
follow.
name? Because I've seen you on many occasions here. And it's not for anything other than I do a
Oh, the
YouTube,
social
so
media.
people will
You don't have
ultimately
to give
say,
video name.
oh yeah, just what you go by, whatever.
Well, I'm Margaret,
Okay.
right? What we'll say is
No,
I'm
no,
Margaret,
just,
63-year-old grandma.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook.
Right.
So I'll link it to a lot of the sites there.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, what I'd say is I'm a free spirit when it comes to this.
Brilliant.
Because by being an individual, that empowers me. You can tell me to wear pink socks. It'll make sense to me. I'm not going to put pink socks on. So I do my truths. From the beginning, from March, I had a grandchild. This is what started me on my journey. I had a grandchild that was due at the end of March the 28th. And I was told I can't be present at the birth. And then my daughter was told she can't have the baby in a certain place because the ambulance was needed. She needed to be in the hospital. Then she was told her husband couldn't be with her. For the last 4 days of March, no husband was able to be present at the birth of their baby. Even now, scans are still being done without the husband being there to present. So this really irritated me. So I thought, right, all the deaths were going on in London. So I went down to Salford Royal, I'm in Shane at Salford Royal Hospital, my hospital, and I was asking staff what's going on. And they were telling me how they were preparing for the pandemic. They told me what wards were being emptied. I spoke to the maintenance man, I spoke to the chaplain. I was asking the chaplain how busy is it in intensive care. She said everything's okay, fine and okay with the words she was using. I was taking photographs of everything going on at my hospital. And then a friend with cancer started her cancer journey, and she was all nervous because she had breast cancer. So I started going round Oldham Hospital, Rochdale Hospital, and North Manchester Hospital with a friend with cancer. So then I was going in there. I've never worn a mask throughout it. My grandchild was born in April, and so to me, it didn't make sense. Two parents, one saying to kill a pandemic, the other one saying might catch it, pass on to your grandchild. And the one that's kill a pandemic wasn't true. I have got video footage. I've got to be very careful with this because obviously it's got stuff on without PPE gear on. I've been in intensive care twice. I've Salford Royal video footage, and so this is my truth, and that's fact. That's true. Now, I've got in the family, that's why I've got to be careful with my name, I've got in the family doctors, nurses and whatever, because I'm 110, so there's a lot of professionals in the family.
And where do they stay with this?
Well, I've got to be very careful here because at the beginning they were talking freely to me. In March and April they were freely saying what was going on in their hospitals, and now they don't talk to me because they're in this as well. They're victims as well in this because their jobs.
So what you're saying is they're professionally invested to the point where they've got to worry about their future if they talk anymore.
Yes. And obviously the link up, when you said about my name, by my name, simple, anybody looking up my name can then look up and probably see them. My kids aren't embarrassed with me at all because I'm going to carry on, they just think that's our mum, they're proud of me. Where I come in with this, which is really, another really biggie that came, is in 2018, I was in intensive care with my partner. And he went in on the 3rd of January, and we signed the forms. It was my partner, so next to him was his son, and we signed his daughter and whatever. And we had to sign the forms because when you go on life support machines, you haven't got them indefinitely. So you sign the forms. You go in the hands of the medical professionals. If they deem the machines time to be turned off, they can get turned off. And my partner wouldn't have wanted to be on a machine. So we signed his son signed the forms. On the 5th of January, the machines were turned off. He lost his fight for life. I washed my hands and removed my coat and went into the intensive care. Nobody was wearing PPE here. No PPE here at all. This is Fairfield Hospital now in, I think it's Bury direction. About 8 beds in the room, curtains all pushed back. The carousel in the middle with all the staff in. It was busy because everybody's got at least 2 or 3 machines attached to them. My partner was sedated on a heart machine, a lung machine, and they stabilised those 2 and eventually put him onto a kidney machine. And then he deteriorated overnight. And they told us there's no point bringing him round, time to turn the machines off. The machines were turned off at 10:20 on the 5th of January 2018 and he died 10:47. On his death certificate is coronavirus. Now, they didn't know what virus was inside. They were detecting the virus so they could treat it. They were on the search for the virus. Now, the reason he died, in theory, wasn't the virus. It was the fact that in 2017, he was diagnosed with bowel cancer. He'd been at Manchester Christie's. He'd gone through chemo for bowel cancer. He rang the bell on the October. He finished his treatment. He went back in November and they said, you're all clear now. You're no longer a patient of ours. You've got the all clear. And then he caught a cold, which is the coronavirus. He caught a cold. He struggled with his breathing. On the 3rd of January, he went in 2018. And because he didn't locate what the virus was, the machines had done too much damage and there wasn't any point in bringing him round. I was asking daft questions like, how long are you on the machines for? All these daft questions and what happens. They were explaining it all to me. Other people had visitors. And we just sat there. I held his hand, stroked his face, sang songs to him. And he died of a contagious disease. And that was 2018. So now we come to 2020. And I'm looking at my grandchild's due, and I'm looking at this, hearing about this contagious disease. Because it's called COVID-19, isn't it? Sure. COVID-19 or whatever. That changed to coronavirus at the end of April. And I'll tell you why. Because the doctors and nurses inside the hospitals were realising that ventilators, this is my inside information, ventilators would do more harm than good. They presumed everybody had this unknown COVID. They were shoving on ventilators, that's what Italy did. That's what we were told to do. And then they started recognising, now I know this from a radiologist, I've got to be careful with her, because it gives links to names, and she was saying the viruses they were recognising were viruses that we're used to recognising. So then they started doing different treatments, bringing in, I don't know, the medication, this works, the malaria hydrocortisone, this works, or that works, or this works. And they started doing all that because they were recognising the viruses, hence the death number dropped, because the actual ventilator was actually killing more than saving. And that was recognised, because doctors were, I'm not blaming any doctors, no medical staff here now in March and April, because just like me, just like the whole blooming world, we honestly expected a pandemic. They've never had
we were told 500,000 deaths.
Well, we were told all this. Then it changed to coronavirus. Now, once it changed to coronavirus, that's when I thought, there's my ring. That is ashes. That's my partner's ashes. That's what they do with things now. So that's like, I'm talking his truth. That's what he died of. Now, on top of that, as we progressed on this journey, they're lying about coronavirus. The swab test is not even fit for purpose. It doesn't test for a coronavirus. Well, it does in theory, because a coronavirus is a cough and cold. So in theory, it's testing for cough and cold symptoms.
Has it been sufficiently isolated yet?
No, they've never isolated COVID. And as a result of not isolating COVID, the deaths can be coronavirus, which is everything.
Makes it broad.
Which is everything from a cough and cold. So this year, the statistics show a reduction in heart attacks, a reduction in cancer, a reduction in Alzheimer's, a reduction in...
So it's fudging the numbers.
It's fudging the numbers. It's stealing off other data in order to keep the figures bumped up. Then we stopped, the deaths weren't high enough. So lockdown ended, the deaths weren't high enough. So then people went into, the hospital then had security on them. So now I can't walk freely into Salford Royal freely anymore. I can't really walk into Salford Royal. I have to sort of pretend I'm going to visit somebody or pretend I'm doing something. I can't take photographs freely. So, you know, and that's not just Salford Royal, it's what's happened to hospitals now. But courtesy of my friend with cancer, I was her carer going with her. So I've got photographs of the other hospitals on her journey without a mask on. So I've gone through all this. Then thinking, now what they're doing is they've ramped up the figures. And it's so obvious whichever area they want to target. So Leicester got targeted because Leicester, there's people carrying on with their businesses. So let's target a certain race of people, say.
Yeah.
And you know what? They dared to have a funeral, and over 200 people went to the funeral. They had that funeral, 200 people went. But in order to stop the fine with the imam, he went for a test. No symptoms, but then you can test positive without any symptoms.
So you can never win. They can always put the fear
So
out.
what happened is the track and trace. Now this is where I step into the next. I step into so many other things. I know 2 people in the job. You've got to be careful
Just
here.
hold the point, because you seem very knowledgeable on the situation.
I was basically
He was just talking about
asked out on a date as a single person in a dating site. Asked out on a date. Ian from Manchester lives in a 10th floor block of flats.
Like to know.
I wanted to take me for a meal to
I'm just
Wetherspoons in
interested
Bolton.
in what
Free
your
meal,
entry point is.
free
That's all. I'm
drinks.
just interested.
I just had to be his companion
Okay.
because when we go into Wetherspoons in Bolton, we were to observe people in their bubbles,
Do you believe in it, or
to chat to people to find out whether they've signed in. I was to go to the ladies' toilets and check that the hand sanitisers and all the other things that check. I was to check all that out. He was filling in a form. That's his new job. His job used to be a secret shopper. It's now a secret COVID compliance tester.
Wow.
So I said to him, Ian from Manchester, you know my name's Margaret, you know my mobile number, I can't have anything to do with you. And he said, oh, I said I can't. I said I'm going to hospitals on a regular basis, every single week with a friend with cancer. I said, I can't catch this virus and put my support for my friend with cancer at risk. And also, I'm not going to help you close that Wetherspoons in Bolton down. Those people lose their jobs. The cleaners, the bar staff, the cooks, they all lose their jobs. So that rang alarm bells to me because you never know who's going to be an Ian from Manchester
Certainly.
and where they're going to go next.
Yeah.
Then somebody close got a job. This is where I've got to be really careful. A job for the government, for the Office of National Statistics. And this job is going into people's houses, swabbing them for 6 consecutive weeks. They don't do the swab. Say it was your house. They bring the kits. They're all covered in protective gear. They give the kit to you. You swab yourself. They take that information back. They ask you all your contact details. You give them all your contact details, and then they send them off to a track and trace. You then, the following week, they'll be back at your house doing the same again, all your contact details for another week. They do that for 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, it's once a month for 10 months. It's a year's contract for the Office of National Statistics.
because they're all talking
It's
about
swabbing you
feel like
once a week for 6 weeks. Even if you're positive, it
virus
doesn't
into
matter. Once a week for 6 weeks, because we're checking to see how the virus, when you get it, how long it
Yeah.
lasts in your system, and
Yeah.
so on. So they're doing that for 6 weeks, then once a month. Now you're wondering why now they get paid for all your contacts that are passed on to track and trace. And that's their job, and it's lucrative, and it's a very nice job. And I wasn't going to tell this person, don't have it, because it's a fantastic job to have. Yeah, it's a good job to
No,
have.
but you can see how these jobs are working away against
There will
people.
be there's months up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you won't tell anybody that you're doing it,
Yeah.
because you're going to say, if you knew my surname, that you met me, and then I'm being track and trace because of you. I'm going to refuse. So this goes on to track and trace here now. Track and trace have to get the results back within 7 days. They have to have a positive or a negative. And inconclusive needs more follow-up. So track and trace then have their mission to do, and there's been loads of faults with that. So there's been loads of people who've had a positive put down rather than a negative because they've refused to have it or they've not. But that works in people getting letters saying, I've tested positive and I've never whatever. Now, when you get a phone call from Track and Trace, they will tell you, we've got your details and you've been in contact with somebody. If you say to them, that's confidentiality. So you'll never know it's me. You'll know it's you. You don't know. So you can't check it out. And then you say, I'm not going. Well, then your name's on the system. You've not gone. So it's going to end up as positive. So I can't tell you how much of that is happening. That to me, that was common sense. But that is going to inflate figures. And then they're moving in. We need to get hold of this, folks. We need to get hold of this, folks. We need to find out where the virus is. We need to stop it before the spread. Now, you know about the R rate, don't you? Well, here I will tell you. I'm a maths teacher. Not working now, but that's my profession, maths. So I suddenly hear about this R rate. This one person spreads it to 3. Well, how do they know that? Well, one person spreads it to 1. And those 3 or whatever. How do they know this? How do they produce a graph like this? So we've got 67 million people living in the UK, 40-odd thousand deaths. How do they track? How do they know? So unless they can put the death figures in some sort of order, stealing a few deaths here and there, like we started off. But how can they put the track and trace? How can they put the swab test in order? Unless they trace 67 million people, all have a swab test today. Yeah. And then a week later,
it'd have to be so regular.
Swab test again. And we do that for a month because just like chicken pox, measles, whatever, by the time we have our spots,
because you'd have to be able to isolate the point you got it. So it couldn't have too much of a gap in between testing, otherwise you're never going to know.
I'm not going to show my symptoms, maybe, till next week. So unless you check somebody every single week, well, not just somebody, 67 million all at once. So you've got the testing capacity to get the results back of 68 million. Impossible. And then you've got people like Nigel Farage who constantly tells you there's another boat coming across with another thousands of people, whatever. Well, they're just disappearing into the community. And there's aeroplanes going off and coming back in, visiting our country. And it's the 67 million people in the country at once. So that R rate is completely to bunkum. So I've been telling people as a maths teacher saying that there's 2 towns, Noddy Town and Mickey Town. I've got stupid with the names, but this is what I'll put to them. Noddy Town and Mickey Town. Noddy Town's got 100 residents. Mickey Town's got 100 residents. Noddy Town is very proactive. Get all the swab kits in and all 100 people are all swabbed. 60 of them positive. 60%. So potentially they've got an R rate of 3. Yeah? Mickey Town doesn't give a, excuse the language, SHIT. They couldn't care less. 3. Open your businesses, do what you want, folks. Doesn't test anyone. Mickey Town has got nobody positive. Which town would you live in, Noddy Town or Mickey Town? And I tell people, and I go, I can see them going. So I said, well, let me make it easier for you. Noddy Town's in lockdown. All the businesses are closed.
See,
you can't go to
you
church.
have to further break it down from that, because that was very explanatory.
You have to close the church, they're all closed, the shops are all closed and whatever. The hospitals are just whatever because it's, they're overrun, and whatever. It's terrible in Mickey Town. They're having huge parties, the shops are all open, people are happy, they're going to church, life is happy.
What is it that's caused it? Is this the death of common sense, or is this fear that's making people...
This is what it is. If you ask me my opinion, we all had fear at the very beginning in March. We all had fear. There's no ifs and buts about it. We had fear. We'd seen the pictures from Italy. We'd seen the pictures from China. We had fear. We didn't know what was coming. And I was literally watching what was going on at the hospitals thinking, well, it's all down in London. It's not here yet. It's not in Manchester. It's down in London. And I go through that fear. And every week I was watching my neighbours.
Going out.
Clap for the NHS saving lives. We stay at home to save lives. And I kept saying to them, have you been to the hospital? It's quiet, have a walk, it's only a mile away. Because, you know, I'm only a mile from the hospital, it's a nice walk. It's my exercise for the day. So it's only a mile away, go for a walk at the hospital. Oh, but one point, my wife's working really hard. I said, what department is she in? Because I thought next time I go, I'll ask about that department. And he said, they're building morgues. So next time I visit, what do you think I did? I went down to the hospital and I say, like, do you know where the morgue is, please? Can you tell me where the morgue is? Because I wanted a picture of the morgue. I wanted something in the album to show because I wanted to see what they were doing.
Yeah.
I never got to the morgue. Never managed. I managed to see other things, but not the morgue. And at one stage, I had my family all turning on me because they were fearing for their jobs because I've got a big mouth. And I'm thinking, look, as far as I'm concerned, you're covering up mass murder. You're covering up mass murder. You're covering it. I can't, for the sake of my heart, and for the sake of God, I know it sounds ridiculous, whatever, I cannot allow people to die, and I don't care about your job, it's irrelevant. To me, it's irrelevant in the big scheme of things, and really, you should be speaking out. But then I knew why they weren't speaking out, because they've got so much invested in that job. And also, it's a little bit like, I don't mean to sound awful, but it's a little bit like, they work at the hospital, and they're told that they're busy in the intensive care. So they're just making the sandwiches or doing the tea or mopping the floor, but they're busy in intensive care. It's only the intensive care ones that know how busy they are.
Yeah, true.
So the thing, I mean, I had courtesy of hospital because I had chest pains about a month ago. When I went into A&E, there was 3 staff to every one of us. But they were overseeing us very, very slowly because as soon as they moved me into a room, that bed, that wheelchair, was all contaminated with me. So they have to sterilise and clean everything before the next person comes in. So as a result, I sat there waiting for about 5 hours. The blood took me wrong, they get taken again. I waited 5 hours and they said, there's nothing wrong, you can go home now. But I took valuable space. Now in the past, I would have been shoved into the corridor to sit there and wait.
Right.
But that doesn't happen now because of this. When I was going with a friend with her things, every time a doctor's doing anything, mask comes off, another mask goes on. Same with the nurses. They're putting gear on like I do not know what. They're going through tons of stuff because they've got to treat everybody separate, a new pair of gloves on,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, a mask on.
But you know what's worrying about this? These are trained professionals. So if they can't see the common sense in that argument when they're doing this, to me, when it looks over proportionate behaviour, how can I buy into them as a professional when they're overtly doing something that doesn't, it defies logic?
This is where they're going to be their own downfall now, in my opinion. Because what's happened, a higher agenda, a higher plan for all the world that's affecting every single country, the higher plan is slowly sort of unfolding. And their jobs are at risk. The police's jobs are at risk. Is the police that's
That's all I was trying to gauge.
You know what's crazy about this is that if they are going to come over to disperse anyone,
Saying in different ways.
because obviously it's quite a day.
Then the question would be to them.
but look, everyone's sat about.
Or last year was
So
fear in this virus.
even
It's a
if
bit hard to say when they
Why
allow
you're now
them to
aware,
breathe
why
a
you're
little
now
bit
thinking
shot.
that virus is my
Right.
yes,
Just till the 28th, and then we're back into tier 3. So then it becomes a bit more awkward for me to be doing this. But I'm going to still do it.
it shouldn't be though, should it? Because like we've just spoke about, the risk of you doing that is no more negligent than anything else that we know of at this moment in time. But yet, apparently, you're going to be a contaminant that is then going to increase the figures. It doesn't align with the brain.
But the basic thing now, when you talk about common sense, I'm called Margaret. Margaret puts her mask on to protect Dave. Dave washes his hands to protect Fred. And we all keep our distance to protect everybody. Where does it say Margaret puts her mask on to protect Margaret washes her hands to protect Margaret. And Margaret keeps her distance. No, they play. It's what they've done. They play an emotional game on us. They play the game on us. We are killers. We are killers.
Yeah.
This is a mind game.
Yeah.
We are killers. And by not wearing a mask, I'm going to kill everybody here. And I've never worn a mask. my grandchild has never worn a mask. And I'll step into another thing that's really important to me, that I didn't get to when I put a bit of dynamite I've got besides that, is the fact that when I met my husband in the 70s, my husband to be in the 70s, school age, 15, 16, 17 then, he had a brother that had died from polio vaccine. Then he was vaccinated, and there's nothing wrong with him. And then the next brother down is mentally handicapped with whooping cough vaccine. 2 brothers in a family of 7 children. One died, one is brain damaged. The remaining 2 didn't get vaccinated. Because by then, my mother-in-law said,
No?
no, go to vaccines.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know, obviously I started loving him within 6 months or whatever. He said he loved me from first sight, you know what it's like. I went on and married him. Now, I'm not stupid. His sperm, my egg, are making our children. He's got something wrong with his family. So I said, go to vaccinations. So my 4 children have not been vaccinated. 32, 35, 36 and 37 age. They're not at all single job for anything.
Are they at a detriment because of that?
I've argued all the way through. I've gone to doctors, I've moved to different areas, I've moved houses, and they've sort of said, and they've like said to me, kind of thing, you should vaccinate your child, because they've got, I know the doctors get paid for vaccinations. I know that having 4 children under 5 years old, I got the percentage down. They didn't want my children on their list. It wasn't. So I've had pressure from that. Now they've got married, and they've got, and I've got 9 grandchildren, 8 biological ones, but 9 grandchildren. Not one of my biological grandchildren has had vaccination.
Right, mate, come on, mate.
Because they've got an uncle, my kids have got an uncle that's dead and an uncle that's brain damaged. So when they came to choosing for their children, my grandchildren, they said, not having it. Because whatever's there, and then 2020 comes. That's to save the world.
Vaccination, apparently.
Vaccines take 10 years at least to develop. Drug companies are exempt. I'm one of the few families with $500, and I'm one in Manchester that was awarded in the late 80s. We won before the British government over 20 years, and we won in the late 80s £10,000 acknowledgement of the vaccine of what they've done. That's fact. You can't take that fact away from us. There's the proof. My mother-in-law, she's dead now. If she was alive, she'd be in the 90s. The parents are dead now. But she was very friendly with a woman, and people can research this, called Mrs. Margaret Best. She was living it. Whether that's breaking any rules, I don't know. She to help people research. Mrs. Margaret Best was from Ireland, and her son was damaged from the vaccine. And she wasn't fighting the Irish government. She thought she in it. She found out my uncle died in Cork and Dagestan, the actual batch number her son was given. She bought the drug company. She won in 1992. Research that, and deep down you'll find it. And she won 2.7 million. So in 1987 or 88, we got 10 grand. A few years later, we got 2.7 million.
And it's always fair to say when they pay out, it's always a drip of what they should be paying out. Let's face that.
Is they now have no.
So you can't do that
So
anymore.
from the 90s onwards,
Yeah.
you can't sue a drug company.
Yeah.
The governments take responsibility for the liability of the drugs that they implement. Governments take responsibility. And then you've got a legal right legal aid or whatever to fight the government. And it'll take you 20 odd years.
So what you're saying then, Margaret, you know, when it comes to when the vaccination comes out, we're just going to be sitting waiting for the amount of people that are going to come out saying the amount of side effects and other detrimental effects because of the vaccination.
This is where I head into. I can only give facts from the past.
Sure.
That facts. Nobody can take those facts away from you. They can do whatever they want to. They're facts. My actual 4 kids and my 8 kids, my 4 kids think the grandchildren are safe because he said when we put the facts on the table when the people's there, they say, excuse me, no, we've got it in our family. They think we're right. I think they'll be strict of it. So I'm making sure that they're prepared because I think we will do an aid. I think, and it is a thing, is for everybody to be vaccinated. Because I think we're on a journey. We're on a journey and people need to see it. And you've just got to see the way things are heading. You've got to see how they've made the elections in America. Because Trump's won, and that's been so even when we get elections here, that could happen here, so long as they keep whoever's in power.
Well, it's almost like they've made a mockery of democracy.
They have.
To the point now where when you look at certain organisations that are propagating China's rhetoric, and bearing in mind they celebrate China for the way that China got out of this so-called pandemic, bearing in mind it come from their country. But then because of their lack of democracy and the way they've been able to lock down, they've been celebrated for that. So it then scratches to where it seems like our democracy is on the decrease. China's model is seen to be the model that the oligarchs suit.
I watched a video on television. I don't know if it was RT or whatever it was. And it was a guy in China. And basically he had a smartphone. And he had to type into his smartphone what his temperature was. And then he was allowed to go out within the 3-mile radius of where he lived. And he was going for a haircut, he was going for food. So when he was going for a haircut, everything's being paid on his phone. Everything's cashless. Everything's cash. But there's also at the corner of streets there were like the check stations. So we had to produce his phone to say, yeah, he's 2.7, so it's okay, still within his 3 miles. He went for his haircut. His haircut, this is months ago now, his haircut had a little code on the door, you know, these square panel things, and he put his phone up and it beat, and the door opened, because he could go in. The hairdresser didn't need to have the gear on, PPE gear or anything like that, because he knew that person was safe, because they were allowed out, because he put the temperature in. On his phone, it beat twice. His phone beat, more or less sort of saying, and he was there reading it out, saying, because it was all like, it was saying like, oh, Mrs. Smith's on Oldham Street, turning the corner of Junction Street, you know, and it was beeping up. Mr. Brown's on Benson Street going on, and they were letting him know within half a mile radius there were 2 people potentially contaminated.
What?
They were coming on his phone, so he could protect himself basically. And he was saying that's what happened. It comes upon your phone because of the track and trace, and they've come out probably not put the temperature in. So what would happen then is the police would be alerted to that, and they would be arrested on the streets, or even some citizens would make a citizen's arrest on behalf of the police. That is how China is controlled. Now that was months ago. So now what we've got, people get the phone out.
Track and trace. Yeah, scanning everything.
Everything on that phone is going across.
It's data.
Your Facebook, your bank account, you name it. They want us to go cashless. They want us to go cashless because as soon as they've got cashless, it's the numbers. This is where the maths comes in now. It's a numbers game. I can give you £1 million. No. You think that's great. But you can only pay for it through your phone or through an app or, you know, a card or whatever. And then it's limited where you can spend it. It means nothing. If you close down the little businesses and all the rest, you can only shop in Tesco and Asda and whatever. Your apps will only work there. Your vouchers will. You know when I told you before about being volunteer for that scheme? That person that's getting swabbed every single week for 6 weeks and then once a month, they get paid £425 vouchers. Not money, vouchers. The vouchers are valid, and here it's an idea. Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, B&Q, IKEA. They were on the list, and other, you know, the big stores.
So it don't have to be money then.
They're only businesses that will still be open and are allowed to just shop out. So the little corner newsagents around there, or the little pots and pans and whatever, gotta go. He's going.
Yeah.
He's on his way out.
Yeah.
And the little corner shops with food are clinging on to life, but soon they'll be priced out because the big boys will undercut them and people are going on deliveries.
No, I get you.
They're getting everything. Cashless is. It's time. If you're very good at doing, I don't know,
Okay, well,
pictures, and I decide to put a picture of you. Well, I've got cashless. I've got to do a transaction
Yeah.
into your bank so they
Yeah.
can see that you've earned £200 for that picture. Now, I could have said how much what you said for you because I really like you it. 50 quid, I say, no, it's
Throw in the
cash.
bin. Yeah.
I could have a job done at my house, you're a plumber or whatever, you couldn't fix a thing. You know, for
But there's
50
no
quid.
data in that private transaction. That's what you're saying. It's
No.
keeping
And
everyone
it's
on the
all-
grid.
And it doesn't matter. So when people say the government is spending, this is where my speciality comes in with figures. When they say that the government is spending billions or trillions or whatever, it's irrelevant. The government can carry on saying everybody can have free houses or free this and whatever. They can do whatever they want. It means nothing because when you get that transaction will become cashless, it means nothing.
It's a control system you've
It's a
put
control
yourself.
system. It's where, you know, you shop where. So effectively, the government gives me £1 million, but I can only shop in Morrison's and Asda and Quicksave and whatever. And, you know, not Quicksave, they've gone out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I can only shop in these set shops. I can only fly on these certain flights. And now they're saying, unless I have the vaccine, they're going to slowly start putting the venting pressure on, but I will never be able to go. Well, that's fine. If you ask me, I can't go on a plane for the rest of my life. Let's have a vaccine. Well, that's easy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot
you
of
know,
people are
but it
getting
will-
to that point.
But it will be, because what they will not tell you. Do you know the vaccine hasn't got ingredients? They're not disclosing the ingredients. They're hoping to roll it out next week, and there's no ingredients yet.
And they've got a legal obligation to do so before
No.
they inject it into a
No.
single person.
No.
So then that anyone with a rational brain going, why would I have anything in me if they're not going to tell me?
People need to get hold of this. We're in a pandemic, and because we're in a pandemic, we're not being given any laws. There's no laws. The Queen is not doing her job. There is no laws. There's a government that's taken 100% responsibility for our health. They're acting because we're in a pandemic. They're acting for our safety. They're giving guidance to the police. If there's somebody's doing something dangerous, they're not wearing a mask or they're doing whatever. You know, they're giving guidance. None of them are laws. None of them are laws. They're not our things. And we've got it till March 2022. It's not going to go before then. And what's more, part of the plan is going to extend it further. It depends how good we all are. And good is us all having a vaccine and behaving ourselves.
Yeah.
And you can say that people like me are not going to be good. So because of people like me, they're going to be turning the people that are the good ones on us. And really, in a way, we're saying, you don't realise what
But
you're
going
doing.
back to the China thing again, it almost feels that what's going to happen is going to be like an unwritten social credit system that's going to roll out. So the people that do comply be able to have the keys to go and live the life. The people that don't are going to be deemed to stay away from. Plus, they're not going to get the keys as well.
If you start going a little bit deeper like I've gone, start moving into the Clapton banks, that's going to happen. That's part. I mean, when they collapse and how they collapse, because we've already had a collapse of banks, haven't we, in the past, so it could be expected, and that people will expect that because they'll say, well, you know, the government has spent so much money trying to save us all. It's inevitable. But that is going to happen because the value of the town is going to become nothing. So, and they've got to back it up because the old system was backing up. The old system was having a bar of gold and producing money according to that weight of
Yeah,
gold.
it's not the
That
gold
was old
standard
system.
now, is it?
It's
Yeah,
not.
it's QE now, isn't it?
Yeah. So it doesn't have nothing. It doesn't have any particular value. The currency doesn't have any particular value. The currency has actually got the Queen's head on it. So it's her money, effectively. Now she's effectively not working at the moment. And
When has she ever worked? Sorry.
well, I know, but she's a figurehead. She's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
figurehead. She's not working. So we've actually got a government that could say have taken control and have given her an extended holiday to keep her safe. Yeah? And so that's what we've got in this country. And that when they slowly suppress the people more and more and more and more, no money and all this. It's like a crazy story, but this is it.
It's actually happening. We're living
This
it.
is the way we're living through this. We're, you know, and we can slow it down, we can hinder it, we can sabotage it. And you can look across at what France have done, what France are doing now. They're protesting. You know what's going on in France?
I've seen little
They're
bits.
protesting. They're protesting because Macron is getting a bit annoyed with his French people because they protest over everything. The French, I love them for that. I might not particularly like them as big-headedness, but I love them for the way they stand up for their rights.
Sure.
So they're protesting because Macron wants to bring in this rule and regulation, because I don't know whether it's a law over there, because I don't know the system over there. He wants to put, I know there's no laws, there's been no laws in this country since March, not one single law. I know that's a fact. So Macron then is saying now you can't take photographs of the police or videos of the police. So that then is their human rights. Because if I'm walking down here, there's nothing stopping a policeman from arresting me, say, and then you say,
You can't document it.
You've done, she's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And you're filming it, well, you're arrested because you're taking the photograph and the video. So therefore, I'm going to trial with no evidence. The police can do what they want.
Yeah.
They can batter me to a court.
Solely leaves it wide open to corruption.
So the people in France are protesting on just on that.
But
Now,
yet
that
they
is so big.
Can they still have body cams on?
Pardon?
The police themselves, do they have body cams like
They
they're doing
can,
now?
but they can. Let's put it this way: when you have in this country, if you're speeding or something like that, they have to produce the documentation. So they said you went past a certain camera, the camera was 6728, blah blah blah, and it was offered. They allow it a little bit of leeway. You were speeding on such and such a motorway at such and such a time. They've got the vehicle reg. I haven't particularly got you, but they've got the vehicle reg. The first thing they need to do is find out who the person was driving that car, because that car, the person who was driving was responsible for it, not the camera. They can't find the car. You have to find the person, So they first of all have to locate who the person was who was driving that car. So they might have a camera, they might have CCTV, and they've actually zoomed in, and it's very clear it's a picture of my face. So that's obvious it's me. So then they send their documentation that, you know, I've got to pay this fine, or I can go on a course or whatever. Now,
Do you want anything, mate?
Freedom, that's it. Solution. Fight for your freedom. Everyone has their own rights, human rights. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
you're
mate.
right, you're right.
Definitely.
So that's ultimate. So that's what we have at the moment, and we have that system. Now that system, those cameras are allowed.
Is it Instagram?
But
Facebook?
if I get, just say for instance, say we've got what's planned for France here, and I get arrested here, you two with your cameras, you're like to be arrested
Sure.
as well, because you filmed me, I've done nothing wrong, I've been arrested. The police have got their cameras. Now, then I say, right, well that policeman that arrested me, he can prove on his camera, oh, his camera didn't work. It wasn't switched on.
Yeah, they can
So then the other,
Close you down.
the other cameras that are all round here, right, they're all picking us up. Yeah? Now we're all going to end up sooner or later, as you know, we're all going to end up chipped and pinned. We're all going to have our phones, hence my phone's an old-fashioned phone.
All right.
We're all going to end up with that, so they're going to know who we are anyway, with everything we're doing. We're going to be like China. I can't believe I watched that thing on China is coming here. And I can't believe that people are just accepting it. Because I've got rid of mine, not got rid, I'm using it as a camera now, my smartphone.
Sure.
My Apple phone.
But other than that, it's used to entrap you more than anything, isn't it?
I've got a basic cheap phone. I don't know if it's 2G or 3G. It's crap. And my friend who's got cancer, her doctor phoned my phone up and wanted me to Skype him. I'll take photographs. So it's quite powerful in its own way.
Yeah.
It's quite powerful. But eventually, kicking and screaming will all be brought into the modern technology, kicking and screaming. And it's the power of what they know, and the power of money set up. when they set up. So we are heading forward. What they want to do is, I was going to say about property, because this is where I know about the property setup. Because if you live in a council house, that can be taken off you at any time. Yeah? If you live in a property that you own, you're in a mortgage bank, you own a certain percentage of it. You've got a little bit more clout. If you own more than 50% of it, chances are you can keep it. You'll end up by default losing it. Because when the bank's in a difficulty, you can't pay mortgage. You've got no money coming in. You're getting probably like the war times, they're going to give you vouchers for until they've sorted everything out.
But they're pretty much doing that now,
Yeah.
buying people off with the
Well,
furlough.
You've been recording for a long time. Give
And
us a break.
But that's the whole point.
I'm tired, man.
People actually feel that furlough's good. I enjoy it actually, because do you know I've not worked to spend quality time with my family, but what they don't realise is when they go try to go back to work doesn't exist. So that furlough then becomes social security or whatever handouts they get given. So they're on handouts, so that's them control.
So it's feeling.
I'm gonna, say you get £100 a week, you're not going to get that much just fancy. Well, how far will you be pushed? No food. So you have a vaccine.
So it is, it's like-
no matter how opinionated you want to be,
Yeah.
you'll be pushed to that edge.
Yeah, it's making you dependent.
You are going to be pushed to that edge. Every single person's going to get pushed to that edge.
So you could argue then the furlough system's nothing more than the dole, really.
Yeah. It's basically them looking after you. It's something anything. They could say the furlough system, you know what, folks, they could decide in January, it's not going to be 780 of your wages, or, do you know what, we're going to give everybody on furlough £1,000 a month. Well, people honestly, they this, but they don't realise
It's coming back on them. And that's without the economy being... No, it doesn't mean anything.
But look at what the government are doing, and people are still not registering this. And it's not, they're still thinking it's a Conservative or Labour, it isn't. Look at what the government, every single MP is a limited company.
True.
So Boris Johnson limited, Matt Hancock limited. So what they're doing is, there was a company that set up making ventilators in the early days, and there was another company that set up making PPE gear. But the government didn't buy that PPE gear off them. What they could have done, they had to sell their PPE off to other countries.
Yes, I remember
And the
that.
people making ventilators, but they didn't use those ventilators because the companies they were using, those companies they've got shares in. Because it's a little bit like, I'm going to give you the lottery numbers for this Saturday. I'm going to tell you the lottery numbers, and I know we're going to win because my mate works with this machine. And ultimately, that's what they're doing.
Cashing in on it.
So what Boris Johnson and all the others have done is they've got shares because they know their reign as the government because of all people are not being well gauged. So they know they've got a limited time. Conservatives, they've done the worst thing possible with Brexit and they've damaged the economy. Labour have sat on their asses and done nothing through it all. So basically the whole lot of them are all going.
To grab what you can while you
So
can.
what they're doing is, yes, they know their job's safe until the next election.
Well, Blair done that,
and they
didn't
know
it?
that they're covered. That's what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're all interlinked. They're all interlinked. And this is where, if you start, because I'm the EU, and how you are with the EU, what is very obvious to me with the